everyone, welcome to Dreadnought Mondays. Today we are joined by Benjamin Fincher. Benjamin, thanks for taking the time to be here. Appreciate it. Just want to jump right in real quick. Let me ask you, is there a particular Monday that you have had experience with, or maybe some of your clients?
So the particular Monday that comes to mind is like when I was still working a W-2 job, and like every now and then I would have that Monday where I'm just like, okay, like gotta go to work tomorrow and really don't want to, kind of stereotypical. But I don't know, like for a while now I've kind of had the mindset of like, okay, I shouldn't hate a day of the week just because it's a particular day of the week. Like at the same time, I think like you can enjoy days of the week because of days of the week. So maybe that's using the opposite end of the spectrum and not and thinking I cannot have the other one of hating it. But it's just been like, Mondays never did anything to me other than exist. And it's just the things I've decided to do on it. And so I kind of was just like, I don't have to hate Mondays. And I found myself thinking that as I had those W-2 jobs, and now at this point where I'm completely self-employed, I find even more that I'm like, okay, yeah, Monday comes around, I get to like jump right back at it. Like Sunday was the break and rest I needed, but now I just get to go full throttle again. And Mondays I'm just like start out with a powerful call with in the mastermind I'm in right now, and then just after that's done, it's just like, okay, like let's go. And I just like boom, 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 and like start getting all these things done that I've been thinking up over the weekend. And so for me now, Mondays are just like the powerhouse day. And slightly ironic that Tuesdays have almost shifted to the stereotypical Monday, not from a dreading it, but just I like, tend to have less energy on Tuesdays. Like I do powerhouse Mondays, and then Tuesday rolls along, and I'm just like, I'm tired. I'm still gonna do stuff, but I'm tired.
So you've been able to recognize that Monday is just coincidentally the day that the week starts on, the work week starts on, and be able to not hate that day because of that.
Right. And like some days, it is funny. I remember one job I had working a retail job. Like, I remember there was one day that it just happened to be a Monday. I'm like, man, today sucks. Like, customers are like not coming in, or they're not buying, or whatever it was. And then one of my coworkers is like, oh, yeah, it's Mondays for you. I'm like, no, it's not because it's a Monday. It's just today sucks. And I'm just like, no, draw the line there. Like, it's not because it's Monday, it's because the day sucks. And then I got thinking, I'm like, are you making my day bad and not having customers in because it's a Monday? And I didn't like go on to blaming them, but I'm just like, maybe they're like attracting negativity because they're thinking negatively about Mondays. Like, I wasn't sure, but I was like, that's a possibility.
I like that, and I've been reading and listening to a lot of podcasts here. What you think about you'll find or will come to fruition, so to speak. Just kind of put what they said in a nutshell. And I know a lot of people will argue with that, but I like that you were able to recognize that, that people find what they're thinking about. If they're thinking negative, they're going to find the negative. Whether it's Monday, Tuesday, February, April, whatever, they're going to find the negative. They can find the negative at anything it could be. It doesn't matter if they're at work or home or on vacation. If they're thinking negative, it's going to pop out and show its face. So
definitely.
And we're able to recognize that's what they were doing and whatever, even though they might not have recognized that. It's very hard to recognize that if you're not thinking about that properly.
Yeah, and you like I could have said something to help them recognize it, and it was long enough ago. I don't remember if I did or didn't. But at the same time, sometimes you just let people go in that type of mindset if you feel like they're not ready to move out of it. And obviously, like, we're not the people that can make that decision for them. But sometimes you just like, like, if I told you that, then either you would just completely dismiss it, or now you might start hating yourself for making Mondays worse. And so it's a fine line when someone doesn't like approach you to improve their mindset. It's like, okay, well, do I try and just be like, okay, yeah, so your mindset sucks, let's improve it. Or are you just like, yeah, I'll just keep bringing bits and pieces when it's the right time, but this is a big enough piece, we'll leave that one for later.
Yeah, yeah. You can lead a water to horse, but you can't make it drink.
Exactly.
Um, so continuing with that, what helps you to continue to have that and build on that positive, proper mindset? It's like, no, it's not the day Monday. I don't want to think negative and find all the negativity. Even though people around me might be negative or pinpointed on something where it's not really the case. You know, so what do you do to help stay in that instead of coming back down to that previous mindset or others' mindset?
I'd say the biggest thing for me is just knowing that I'm the creator of my life.
I
It's
like that.
I'm not a victim of my circumstances. I'm a creator of my circumstances, which if you take only that mindset and apply it to I hate Mondays, you're hating Mondays because you are hating Mondays. It's like if I'm looking at that with me and I'm just like, I hate Mondays. They're so terrible. It's like, wow, that's a pretty crappy day of the week I'm building for myself. Where if I'm just like, okay, I'm not a victim of my circumstances, I'm a creator of my circumstances, like, okay, Mondays get to be whatever I want them to be. I can treat them like a Friday, I could treat them like a Wednesday, or I can treat them like a Monday, or I could treat them like a Monday different than anyone in the world knows. Heck, I could even treat Mondays like Sundays.
That you are the creator of your circumstance. But I
Yeah,
like that, and it's so enlightening, so refreshing when you finally, um, for lack of better phrasing right now, convince yourself of that.
yeah,
Because when you hate Mondays, it's because someone over here said, "Oh, Mondays suck," and so you hear it enough that you start to tell yourself that, and then you believe it. And it could be the same thing with positivity, in a good way and stuff. And changing your mindset over to believing that you can create it and make Mondays a great day, however you want to make it. It could be positive, very productive, whatever you want it to be. But if you're stuck in that other mindset, you're battling against yourself. So what are some steps that we can do to help not battle ourselves, have an internal mindset battle?
well, there's a comment you made about something you said there in that sentence about changing your mindset made me think of this example, and I think it helps answer the question perfectly. So, growing up, I was homeschooled, and so from straight out of the gate, I didn't have the regular curriculum that all the other kids had at public school. My parents didn't push me to learn subjects, and so I never, well, my dad tried to get me to read, and then I stopped for a long time, and then I really liked it. So that's one example is, um, and I'll tie this back into Mondays in a second here, but like my dad tried to force me to like reading. He tried to force me to read, and I was just like, whoa, yeah, you're stubborn. Yeah, I'm stubborn too. I'm not going to do that. And as a 5-year-old, I didn't like say it like that or necessarily even think it like that, but that's the result that happened. Later, about 6, 7, 8 years later, when I was like 12 or 13, we started doing these online classes. And as part of that, you had to do math. And up until that point, I'd just like done some multiplication tables that my mom would print out and maybe division, which if I could, I ran away from those. And here in a second is where I'll make the tie-in that I hated math. I absolutely abhorred it. I was just like, math's stupid, math's hard. I don't like math. Like, just putting all this hate on math, right? Now, why? Because everyone else hated math, because that's what I heard from my peers. That's what I heard from the TV. That's what I heard from movies is like, oh, math's terrible. Math's hard. I hate math. And so I was like, okay, sounds good. I hate math too. And I literally just followed the crowd on it. And so it's like, the crowd says, oh, I hate Mondays. And I was like, okay, I hate math. Until I had to do a semester of this math. And I'm just like, man, this is so hard. And then come like winter break, it something clicked in me. And I'm not sure what particular thing triggered, if any particular event happened or somebody said something. But in my head, I was just like, wait a second. I was actually kind of enjoying like filling out those, because I had like different, it was like a pie graph where you like filled it out to the edges in these particular areas like geometry and multiplication, all these different things. And the more you did it, the more full the pie chart got. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, like to be able to do that. I'm like, wait, do I actually like math? The next semester I went through 3 years worth of math because I finally shifted in my head that, oh, I don't hate math. I actually kind of like it. I kind of like the way I get to fill out this pie chart or whatever it was. It was like, oh, I don't have to hate math. I can enjoy it. And just take that same idea and apply it back over here to Mondays like we were talking about. Oh, I don't hate Mondays. I can kind of enjoy it. And just recognize you probably only hate Mondays because everyone else does. Now, maybe you have a particular reason, but you can still decide to change that. But so many of us, the only reason we've ever hated Mondays is because everyone else hates Mondays. Like maybe you'll be like, oh yeah, I hate Mondays because of work. But that's what everyone says. If you actually look at it, it's like, okay, well, maybe you enjoy work or maybe you actually enjoy going in on Mondays or whatever it is. And it's examine, okay, is this because I hate Mondays or is this because everyone hates Mondays? And if it's because everyone hates Mondays, that's so much easier to switch. It's like, boom, like, oh, everyone hates Mondays? I don't have to be like everyone. I can enjoy Mondays. And if it's your own reason, you can look at that reason and say, okay, is this worth still hating Mondays and ruining 7%, like a seventh of my week? Like more than like 15% of my week, is it worth ruining because everyone says I hate Mondays or because I had this one experience back 5 years ago?
I love that. And there's a couple of things I want to touch on there. You know, with the ability, you know, if you take a step back and dissect, you know, why do I really hate Mondays? Okay, is it work? What about work that I don't like? You know, and then like you said, it could be this one experience 5 years ago that's no longer applicable, or a job you had 10 years ago and you're no longer at. You know, you really hate Mondays still. And then going back to the math, you know, that made me think of some things that would really help me is changing what it does. You know, you enjoy math because you like this, and this result, whatever. You know, going for me, I don't really care for mowing my lawn, but I love how it looks. I love the smell. It makes my wife happy. So this little inconvenience allows me to do this, and this. You know, so if you look at, okay, I might not like it, but it helps me get what I do like. You know, going to work allows me to go on vacation or whatever. So
Yeah.
you can focus on the positivity that comes out of it and dissect why you don't like it, or maybe be able to not like it or not hate it as much, which will then help you figure out another way to find some positivity over here. And, it could just be a positive chain effect of reversing that mindset from I hate Mondays to, oh, Mondays isn't so bad. This happens to be the day that this happens, but this isn't so bad because it allows me to do this, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. And maybe as you're examining that reason of why do you hate Mondays, you'll come to the conclusion of, okay, I just really don't like working for someone else. And if I remember right, Kenny, you're an entrepreneur and I'm an entrepreneur. And you might be like, okay, let's just jump ship from working in the corporate world and just do my own thing. And that's not for everyone, but maybe that's the reason you've been hating Mondays for so long and you're ready to make that shift. And if it's not, that's perfectly fine. But you can be like, okay, like I hate Mondays because I have to go to work and blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, well, but I do get paid and that's nice. Or maybe it's like, well, I really don't like going to see my boss because they never actually acknowledge my existence unless I'm not doing something for the one time out of 100. And it's like, okay, well, you need to switch jobs or um, like, what's up?
Exactly. You want to dissect, Um, I became an entrepreneur, and the guy I used to work for was an awesome, fantabulous guy. You know, just I just knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was nothing wrong with him, nothing wrong with the job. I just knew it wasn't quite the fit for me, and it was time to move on. So I didn't hate my job per se, but previous jobs, the management was not so great. People didn't know I existed until I did something wrong, like you said, or implied kind of thing. So previous jobs is a different story, but there was still some um, things I had to dissect. Okay, this part was good about it. This part was good about it. Why do I really hate Mondays? And not just lump sum jump to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to any aspect. If there's a chore you hate doing, or we can shift over to physical condition or mental condition. Um, it could be, woe is me, why do I have this burden? You know, Instead try and dissect it. So, okay, look at what I've learned from this, look how much I've grown, look at the people I've met because I've had to go through these experiences and go to this hospital or whatever. You can apply it all across the board and really figure out how to change that Monday and your mindset about it.
Yeah. And a couple of thoughts to keep going with that. And something you said earlier about like looking at the positive things that happen because you do something. I grew up never making my bed. I just didn't care. Like, plus I was on a bunk bed, so it was awkward to try and put the blankets around. And so like there was certain times in my life where like when I was on the bottom floor or not like not on the top bunk bed, but like I just had a normal bed, I would like make my bed. But even then, sometimes I just be like, okay, whatever, I forgot to make my bed. Ooh, fast forward to now, I'm married, and my wife is like, uh, I'm not completely sure, but I think that she's been like a very good bed maker throughout her life, maybe because of her parents or because of herself, but maybe not to the point of being religious about it, but just she likes to keep the bed made. And my mindset's always been like, okay, like I get into it at the end of the night anyways, and disturb the covers. Like, why does it need to be nice now? Well, I know she likes it when I make the bed. So I make the bed, and it takes me 30 seconds and makes her day better. And for me, that's worth it. And the more I've done that, the more I've realized, oh, yeah, like if we do want to go sit on the bed, like as we're talking and we're not sitting on the couch or whatever, or we will like want to do a puzzle laying down on the bed, and instead of having to make the bed and make it not all like rumpled up sheets and bedding and all that, like it makes sense to have the bed made. And so as I've started this habit of, okay, I make the bed, I've never done this regularly in my life before, pretty much. But now I look at what happens because I do that. Okay, my wife's happier. And if we do need the bed made, we don't have to make the bed in the moment. And it's just these little things. And it applies, the same type of idea applies to almost any area of our lives. Okay, do you hate this thing because you had a bad experience or because you never saw the value in it? Like, okay, I never saw the value in making a bed until I was off the top bunk. Because, like, on the top bunk, I never got in bed or like sat on my bed unless I was going to sleep. And just that might sound like a silly or small example, but it's illustrating the exact same thing we're talking about here, just in a smaller way.
Exactly. It's those little changes. I was kind of the same way. I didn't care about my bed and stuff, but I find that when I make it, like, yeah, it looks clean, it looks nice, tidy, kind of makes me, check mark, it makes me feel a little bit better. Like you said, my wife also likes it. It looks nice, inviting when we're ready to go back to bed. We don't have to worry about it and fuss over it or whatever, blah, 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 you know. And like you said, we can apply it to other things. What's a small change or small something you can do to help make your day better? You know, is it putting in audiobooks on your drive to work? Is it, maybe seeing if you can change departments or shifts at work, so you have different schedule, different management, different coworkers, something maybe a little fits better with your kids' school schedule or whatever. Can swing by and grab a box of chocolates or donuts, kind of get a little treat for yourself. Find some positive little things that you can do to um, help find that momentum and that positivity and something to look forward to. Some reason, some more motivation to do what you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah. Well, and thinking back to when I first entered the workplace, I don't think I really ever hated Mondays, or at least not a lot if I ever did. Because when I first got into the workplace, I was just like, why does everyone hate Mondays? Like, this is just confusing. Like, as a 16-year-old, it was just confusing. I'm like, why does everyone hate Mondays? And I kind of was able to see, like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Like, these people that don't enjoy what they're doing, which for me just inspired me to be in an industry I enjoyed being in. And I switched jobs probably 8 to 10 times up until the point to where now I'm my own boss as an entrepreneur, and I'm making the calls here, and I'm just like, okay, now I really enjoy what I'm doing. And it, like it kind of stemmed from that. Okay, if I don't want to hate Mondays, what do I need to do? And I like, it kind of sounds like you really like to focus on not just the workplace Mondays, but just um, any type of Monday. Like, oh, I hate this thing, or I hate this day, or I hate yada 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 because, and just being able to go in and be like, okay, why? And really, when you get down to the why, there's some story that happened there. There's some memory of something that went bad, or you missed out on, or yada yada yada. And it's like, you can decide to change that. You can decide to make that better. And it's like, you get down to the why, and you can change the program as to why you hate that, because the memory made a program in your head, and now you can decide to change that as you examine it. If you stay blind to it, you can't. But I feel like anyone listening to this podcast is trying to not be blind and trying to learn and grow.
And as you referenced earlier, wanting to change the mindset. Use the example of your former coworker at a previous job who may not have been ready for that mindset shift discussion yet. I'm taking those steps. So
Yeah, and that same type of thing happens where you like can attract negative things to you. I remember the first job I worked, it was a food job, and closing shifts every now and then someone would come in and order something off the grill, and they like shut the grill down, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour before closing time, just so they can clean it. Because especially on the weekends, like that's like, I don't remember if it was 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night that hour before closing would be, if they closed at 11 or 10. But it was just like, okay. And part of that's setting boundaries. But I remember there'd be sometimes someone would come in, order something off the grill, and they'd fire it back up instead of saying, hey, sorry, the grill's closed for the night. Come back tomorrow. And I don't know what the instructions were for those people, because I worked in the back, like prepping the food, not cooking it. But to me, seeing that, I'm just like, okay, like one thing there is boundaries and saying, hey, sorry, we love to have your business, but order something else because we cleaned the grill, like we're done for that for the night. And the other thing is, boundaries aside, there could be those people working the grill that are just like, oh man, like clean the grill so hard, I really hope someone doesn't come in and order something off the grill. And then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, that thought goes out to someone that's like, oh, I want to go to this restaurant and get something off the grill. Like, and it's a little bit more nuanced than that in some ways, but just to like, you can attract positivity to you by thinking about positivity, or you can attract negativity to you by thinking about negativity.
exactly. Driving down the road, you could say, I hope I don't get in a wreck. And then you unconsciously, it's like you're looking for a wreck.
Right. Or you can be like, I want to get to my destination safely and not even worry about it, and just be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get wherever I'm going safely, and like have that hope for other people too, but just think it enough that it becomes a knowledge. Yeah, I'm going to get to where I'm going safely.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that as I picked up driving, I decided, I'm like, I don't want to be in an accident, but I know that if I think about being in an accident, I'm going to be in an accident. So I'm going to get where I'm going safely and on time.
Just making those small changes, find something positive to think about instead. Oh, look, it's a beautiful sunny day or whatever.
Yeah. Or instead of, hey, don't forget, it's, oh yeah, I'm going to remember. Like that one, I don't remember when exactly I picked that one out, and was just like, wait a second, no wonder everyone keeps forgetting things. They always tell each other to not forget. And then our brain takes out the knot and it's like, hey, forget this. Not don't forget this. It's just, hey, forget this. Do forget this. And our brain's like, okay, yeah, remove the knot, remove the no. Like, we're just gonna forget this. And it's like, screw that. Remember it.
Exactly. Awesome. Hey, well, Benjamin, thank you for taking the time to be here. I appreciate it, and you're sharing your experience and knowledge and insight. Where can people find you if they wanted to reach out to you?
Yeah, so those that want to reach out to me, find out more about what I do, you can head over to starlightmentoring.com. That's one word, no hyphens. Again, starlightmentoring.com. And there you can find out about my story, about how I became a mentor and decided to shift to that type of lifestyle instead of working a job. In the corporate world, you can also find the podcast I run over there, How to Rewrite Your Stars. Talk about how to take the reins of your life, and talk about similar things like on this podcast, but more stories of people. And you can also find out how to work with me on there. I've got my different mentoring packages and be happy to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll post those links in the comments as well. Again, thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. whether audio or video. And please feel free to reach out and let us know how we can help you. No Mondays.